Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I am excited to be sharing with you all about weeks 28 through 35 of this pregnancy. I can't believe that I've already gone through 7 weeks of this third trimester. I feel like this pregnancy has gone by really slow up until this point, and now all of a sudden I am just mind blown at where has all this time gone, and I can't believe that I'm just a few weeks away from having another baby. It's just kind of crazy to me. Before I get into everything that I've been experiencing these last 7 weeks, I just wanted to let you know that I've been sick for the last 2 weeks, and I still have some congestion and a cough. So if I sound a little off today, that's why. But yeah, I have my whole list here of things that have happened in these last 7 weeks. So let's get right into it. The symptoms I'm going to talk about today are all things, for the most part, that I have been experiencing throughout this pregnancy, but they have definitely ramped up in this third trimester. I have felt a shift overall in how I've been feeling pretty much right when I hit the third trimester. It's like all of a sudden these symptoms just really ramped up, and I'm experiencing them a lot more frequently, which is just interesting. I don't know, I guess I'd have to go back and watch some of my pregnancy updates with Jameson, but I don't remember feeling this many things with his pregnancy at this point. So it's just interesting to compare. First thing I'll talk about is the heartburn and indigestion. Not really heartburn so much, but it's more of the indigestion and acid reflux. I think I've talked about this several times in a few recent videos, so I'll try not to repeat myself too much, but this girl definitely does not like the spicy or acidic foods. I feel very uncomfortable after I eat, and I have been eating a lot of Tums afterwards just to try to help neutralize some of that acid that I keep experiencing. And kind of going along with eating and food, I have still continued to have major food aversions. It's kind of similar to how it was in the first trimester, where food in general just sounds gross to me. There are often times where I really just don't feel like eating anything, and I know that's not really good. I need to be making sure that I'm eating enough nutrients throughout the day for not only myself, but for this baby to continue to grow and to be healthy. So it's a challenge, especially when trying to plan out meals. We like to have a meal plan for the week, and I just have a hard time lately trying to pick out recipes because nothing sounds appealing to me. Another symptom that has really started to increase lately is the lower back pain and the hip pain. It is definitely worse this time around than it was with Jameson's pregnancy, and I'm just assuming it's because this is a second pregnancy, and also I have a toddler that I'm carrying around a lot of the day. So there's just a lot going on with my body, and it's very uncomfortable at times, especially at night when trying to sleep. I did finally get in to see my chiropractor a few weeks ago, and let me tell you, instant relief for me. I was so grateful to be able to go and see her. She definitely helped me out and really worked on my hips and my pelvis, because things were not right. And this baby has been pretty low in my pelvis since I think it was week 26. I can't remember. I had an ultrasound just to check on her growth, and my OB had said that she was already like head down into my pelvis, which to me seemed kind of early for her to already be that low, but that's just what she told me. So I'm assuming that's pretty accurate, and I definitely feel a lot of pressure down there and just very uncomfortable. So The chiropractor has definitely helped, and I have another appointment next week, which I'm very much looking forward to. Yeah, and I've been trying to do stretches and different movements and exercises to just try to relieve some of that pressure and that pain that I'm feeling down there and in my back, especially just like my lower back and my hips. So I've just, been trying to do what I can to keep myself comfortable. I have been experiencing Braxton Hicks contractions. Some of them are a bit uncomfortable, but I wouldn't say they are really painful. And there have been times where I'm like, okay, this is like not slowing down at all. And so I have to drink water and lay down on my left side and try to get things to calm down a little bit because it'll just keep happening. So that's been interesting, but like I said, they're not like extremely painful contractions by any means. It's just very, very noticeable. Something I've experienced this pregnancy that I never really experienced at all with Jameson's pregnancy is just like a change in my mood. Irritability especially has been something that has really intensified in this third trimester. With my pregnancy with Jameson, I feel like I was like that happy pregnant lady. Like I never really experienced mood swings or hormonal emotions, whatever you want to call it, like that typical pregnancy emotional changes that you hear about. I never experienced that with Jameson's pregnancy. And I don't know if that was just unique to that pregnancy or if it was because he was a boy and now I'm having a girl. I don't know if the hormones are different this time around, but it's not like me to be an irritable person for like no reason. So it's been interesting and kind of difficult at times because I will just feel irritable and upset for no reason, and there's no like particular thing that's setting me off. It's just like everything in general is just too much for me to handle, and I'm just like have moments where I'm just so upset over everything. And like I said, I'm just not that kind of person normally, so I get even more upset when I feel this way because I'm just like, why am I feeling this way? Why am I like this? And I feel like I end up making it worse for myself because I get upset with myself for feeling the way that I'm feeling. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's definitely one of those symptoms where I look forward to not having any more once I'm not pregnant because I don't like feeling this way, and I miss being my old self where I was just more chill and go with the flow and relaxed. I don't like being moody whatsoever. So that has been an interesting thing trying to navigate. Thankfully, I have a very loving and wonderful, understanding husband who just loves on me and is everything that I need in those moments, because if he were to get upset with me for whatever reason because of the way I'm feeling, like I just feel like that would not go well. So I'm grateful for him and his overall demeanor towards me when I'm having these moments. Another symptom I've been experiencing a lot of is just overall fatigue. I am so tired all of the time, and I know that's very common for being in the third trimester, but also the fact that I have a toddler. I'm a stay-at-home mom with him, so I am with him and I am, mom 24/7. And there are days where it's just exhausting, and I'll hit like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and I just feel like, okay, I'm done for the day. Like I'm ready to go to bed and sleep until tomorrow morning, which obviously I cannot do. So along with that, I'm sure this also contributes to the fact that I am tired, is just that I have trouble sleeping at night. There are probably a million factors that go into that. Hormonal changes and the fact that I'm uncomfortable all the time and all the emotions that are building up within me regarding birth and having another baby. And you know, if you've been pregnant, you know how the pregnancy insomnia can set in and your mind is just going a million miles a minute at night thinking about all of the things. And yeah, it's tough. And I've come to this point where I'm just like, all right, it is what it is. I feel like this is also my body's way of preparing me for life with a newborn, because once she's here, I mean, I'm not going to be getting 8 hours of consistent sleep at night, right? Like, I'm going to be up every few hours. So I feel like, as annoying as this is, I'm trying to just embrace it, because I'm like, well, this is going to be my life again for the next gosh knows how long. But yeah, I've been trying to embrace it, and just like with all these other symptoms, I feel like I'm just repeating myself, just doing the best that I can to get through it. The last several weeks, I have been experiencing a lot more leg cramps at night. I can kind of feel like when they're coming on, and I try to prevent it from happening, but it's just one of those things where you can only do so much. I'm still taking magnesium in the form of lotion every night. That really helps. I do know there's some times where I just forget at night, and I feel like those are the nights when I have the leg cramps. So I definitely think that magnesium helps make a difference. The last symptom is a little TMI warning for some of you. This I did not experience at all with Jameson's pregnancy, but I noticed that I have been leaking some colostrum. I really only notice it when I take a shower, and I think it's probably just because the warmth of the water kind of makes things start flowing. But I never experienced that with Jameson's pregnancy, but I also at that point had never breastfed before, and I breastfed throughout the first trimester of this pregnancy. So I feel like it's no surprise to me that I'm already producing colostrum, and it's kind of leaking out a little bit. It's not to the point where I'm like leaking all the time or having to wear nursing pads or anything like that, but it's enough to where it's noticeable, but that's about it. So that's interesting. And yeah, as far as like the big symptoms I've been having, that's about it. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I unfortunately got sick these last about 2 weeks ago. It hit me like all of a sudden out of nowhere. I woke up one morning feeling fine, and then by that afternoon I was just like, something is terribly wrong. Like, I just got hit with all of these symptoms at once. Just like any cold flu symptom you can think of, I had like chills, fever, body aches, headache, sore throat, sneezing, congestion, like everything just hit all at once. And it did get a little scary. It started on a Tuesday, and by Wednesday things were really intense, and I could not get my fever to come down. I had a fever of, I don't even remember at this point, I think it was 102.7 or something like that. And even with Tylenol, it wasn't coming down. And my heart rate was really high, like in the 150s, almost 160s. And I have an Apple Watch, and it kept going off and alerting me like, hey, I don't remember exactly what it said, but it was basically like, we noticed your heart rate's really high, you should contact your doctor. And so that, combined with the fact that this fever was not breaking, was really scary. I know that having a fever when pregnant can be very dangerous for the baby, in particular. So I had contacted my OB, and they were like, you really need to come in, we need to see you, and just like figure out how we can help you. So I ended up going to like an urgent care at the hospital, which is connected, like my OB and the hospital and everything's all one, they're one entity, like one area. And so like I had to go to the walk-in clinic, and then they were like, you need to go to the ER. And then the ER was like, you need to go to labor and delivery. They need to take care of you. So I was like going to all of these places and finally got settled in at the labor and delivery unit in the hospital. I was there all day on that Wednesday, and they were just monitoring me. They were monitoring the baby. My fever was still really high when I got there, along with my heart rate. And so they were doing everything they could to make me comfortable and help make sure that they were doing everything they could to get that fever down. So I had to be hooked up to an IV and get some IV fluids, and they continued to give me Tylenol. And when I first got there, baby girl was not moving, like really at all. It had been several hours since I had felt her move, and so they had me drinking lots of water, and they had the IV going, and they were just trying to get her to move. And eventually, after about, I'd say probably close to an hour, she started moving a lot more, so that was good. And the rest of the day, her monitoring strip looked really good. So I'm grateful that overall she was doing well. And once I had several hours of IV fluid, they let me go home. But that was just like, obviously that's not something anyone ever wants to go through, but especially when you're pregnant, the only thing I could be given was Tylenol. And I was just, honestly, I was just feeling so miserable. I feel like I'm so blessed and I feel so lucky to say that it's been over 5 years since I've been sick. I went through Jameson's entire pregnancy without getting sick once, which is just crazy to me because I traveled so much during his pregnancy and I never once got sick. And then he was born, and you know, the pandemic hit, and we were lucky enough to be able to avoid getting sick the last 2 years. And now all of a sudden, poor Jameson has been sick. Like, he's had like back-to-back viruses, and it's just one of those things where it's unavoidable at some point. I mean, we still really don't even go anywhere. Like, we go to the store, we'll go to the park sometimes, but like for the most part, we're not out and around a lot of people still. So it's just interesting that these little bugs and viruses still make their way and make their way in somehow still. Yeah, so that hospital visit that day was a little scary, but overall things ended up being okay. My fever finally broke that night after I got home from the hospital, and it's taken these last 2 weeks for me to finally start feeling better. Like, it hit me really, really hard, and it's difficult being pregnant when you can't really take a whole lot of medications to help with like the congestion and the cold symptoms and all of that. They did test me for COVID and for the flu, and I also did at-home tests. Everything has come back negative, so I don't know exactly what I had. I guess just some other type of virus. But yeah, it's been rough the last 2 weeks trying to recover from that. And then unfortunately, because we're all just so in close quarters here at home, Jameson ended up getting whatever virus I had. So he's had it for the last like week and a half, and it's just been tough overall. John has been the only one who hasn't gotten sick. His immune system was way more resilient than mine or Jameson's. So he was able to fight whatever this is off, and he has been taking care of us, and I'm grateful that he was here and able to do that, because I don't know how I would have, I don't know what I would have done if he was not here to help out and to take care of me and Jameson throughout the last 2 weeks. But I'm finally starting to feel more like myself again, which I'm so grateful for. I feel like I've done a lot of talking. I just want to touch on one thing very quickly. A few weeks ago, I did transfer my care from the hospital I was being seen at. For those of you who may not know, with Jameson, I was induced. at 41 weeks, and long story short, my induction did not work, and I ended up having an emergent, I don't even know what it's called. It wasn't emergency to where like I had to be completely put under, but it was like an urgent C-section. So that's a story that I still have not sat down and like gone into details about, and I keep getting questions about if I'm going to post that whole birth story at some point, and I there's a part of me that wants to, but there's also a part of me that's still really struggling with everything that happened, and it's just hard for me to talk about, if I'm being honest, and maybe talking about it would be beneficial for me, especially as I near the end of this pregnancy. It would be good for me to try to tell that story and kind of work through some of those emotions and work through some of the things that happened. Obviously, overall, I mean, Jameson is here and he's healthy and I'm healthy and all of those things, but it still doesn't take away from the fact that I did not have the birth experience that I wanted or expected, and it was very difficult for me. But all that to say, I said I was going to talk about this really quickly, and here I am rambling on about it. The hospital that I've been seen at this whole time is not a VBAC supportive hospital, unfortunately. So I really want to attempt a VBAC, and the closest hospital to me is a little over an hour away that is VBAC supportive. So around week, 32, I think, I had my first appointment with that new hospital. I saw the midwife, a certified nurse midwife there, and just had like my initial visit. From now on, I'll be seeing the OBs there. The midwives are completely booked for my due date, so I am seeing the OBs, but they are all, from what I've been told, very VBAC supportive. So I will be hopefully having a VBAC if everything goes well and goes the way I hope this time. So that'll be interesting. I have an appointment actually tomorrow with an OB there at that at the new hospital, or new to me hospital. So yeah, I will keep you guys updated, and hopefully one of these days I can sit down and maybe film another video about my birth experience with Jameson and my hopes for a VBAC and all of those things. We'll see what happens. You know, things are really crazy right now with just preparing for this baby and taking care of Jameson and just all the everyday things. So we'll see if I'm able to take some time out and sit down and film that video for you guys. But if not, I will try to at least keep up with the pregnancy updates. So yeah, I think that's about it for this update. I think I've talked enough at this point, but I will go ahead and insert here a little bump date for you. The day that I'm filming this, I'm 35 weeks and 6 days, so I'm practically already 36 weeks, but this is what my belly looks like. I am much smaller than I was with Jameson at this point. I gained a lot of weight with Jameson's pregnancy, and at this point with him, I was extremely swollen, just everywhere, but especially in my face and in my hands and my feet. And this time, so far, I have had no swelling whatsoever, which is a whole different experience this time. I'm not complaining about it. I would much rather feel like I feel right now. I'm glad I don't have any swelling at this point. So that'll do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my updates. I will see you in another video very soon.